hours of June 3, 1861, the city of Philippi in Barber County, West Virginia, became the site of the first land battle of the American Civil War. Just before dawn, some 3,000 Federal troops, taking advantage of the railroad network in the area, moved south in two columns from the rail hub at Grafton toward the sleepy town. There they surprised and attacked about 800 partially trained and poorly equipped Confederates, driving them from the small city. The Federals were under the command of Major General George B. McClellan from the Department of the Ohio and included the 6th, 7th, and 9th Indiana and the 14th and 16th Ohio regiments, in addition to the 1st Loyal Virginia Regiment, whose Colonel Benjamin F. Kelly was in immediate command. The Confederate troops, meanwhile, consisted of newly recruited companies of the Confederate Department of Virginia, Major General Robert E. Lee commanding, and took their immediate orders from Colonel George A. Porterfield. The engagement at Philippi was soon followed by other battles in the Allegheny Mountains of western Virginia, at Rich Mountain, at Laurel Hill, and Corrick's Ford. These first four encounters all resulted in Union victories and in President Abraham Lincoln's promotion of McClellan to commander of the Army of the Potomac. They also gave impetus to the movement for statehood by the people of the region, culminating in the formation of the state of West Virginia in June of 1863. Although General McClellan eventually faltered as the commander of the Army of the Potomac and was dismissed by President Lincoln in late 1862, following the Battle of Antietam, the early events that had catapulted him to national prominence had a continuing impact. That area of western Virginia was saved for the Union and provided valuable human and natural resources for its cause. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, one of only two east-west railroads in the nation at that time, remained in Federal hands and was vital to the Union war effort in troop movement and logistical support. While no one was killed at the Battle of Philippi, several men were severely wounded, including Union Colonel Benjamin Kelly and Confederate soldiers Fauntleroy Dangerfield and James Edward Hanger, a young student from Washington College in Lexington, Virginia. The teenager had arrived in Philippi just a few days before the battle to join the Churchville, Virginia cavalry, in which two of his brothers were serving. Hanger was attempting to get his horse out of a stable near the Garrett Johnson home in Philippi when one of the opening Federal cannon shots ricocheted into the stable, striking and shattering one of his legs. After he was discovered by the advancing troops, a Union surgeon saved him by amputating his leg above the knee. It was the first of thousands of amputations that would be performed during the Civil War. The city of Philippi, while incorporating other funding sources and local volunteerism, has expended significant resources in developing and promoting the famous Civil War site. Prominent among these efforts has been the restoration of the 1852 vintage Philippi Covered Bridge, which had been used by both the North and South during the war after it was severely damaged by fire in 1989. The city has also established the Downtown Historic District and identified several notable structures, which have been placed on the National Historic Register. An ongoing downtown historic tour is provided for visitors, and the Blue and Gray Reunion is held annually in early June to commemorate the first land battle of the Civil War. Surrounding the famous covered bridge, which is central to the panoramic viewshed, are some 120 acres that have been identified for inclusion in the Battlefield Park. It will be adjacent to and include sites within Philippi's downtown historic park. Because it has been identified as part of both the National Civil War Discovery Trail and the First Campaign Historic Trail, the Philippi Battlefield Park will receive nationwide publicity and will attract thousands of visitors annually. The city has produced beautiful and informative brochures, as well as self-guided tour materials to assist visitors. The estimated value of these ongoing activities and historic preservation efforts is $2 million annually. To further enhance the site of the first land battle of the Civil War, it is proposed that a visitor center be constructed to provide an informational focal point. The center will be located along the old Beverly-Fairmont Turnpike, now U.S. Route 250, at the west end of the historic covered bridge that spans the Tigard Valley River and leads into downtown Philippi. An eye-catching diorama depicting that initial battle will be painted in the reception area of the center. 2 replicas of 6-pounder smoothbore cannons that were a key part of the Battle of Philippi will be placed on the campus of Alderson Broaddus College atop Talbot's Hill, from which they were originally fired. In addition, long-range plans call for the restoration of the old mill that stood alongside the river just south of and within view of the covered bridge, the development of an outdoor amphitheater for summer stock plays, and the purchase and clearing of property to restore much of the 120 designated acres of the battlefield to its original condition, enhanced with walking trails, parking lots, and public restroom facilities. Upon the project's completion, visitors to Philippi's newest attraction will have opportunities to touch history as they experience the echoes of remarkable events that occurred in this small city nearly a century and a half ago.